Welcome back to the program. So the first thing that I want to say is this. Virginia Giuffre did not kill herself, okay? As I was doing yesterday's show, as soon as I was done recording it, the news broke of Virginia Giuffre, one of the major victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, said that they heard that she committed suicide, which, of course, I highly doubt that she did. So let's go through a couple of different things on this story. So Epstein accuser, well, more than accuser, victim. Virginia Giuffre's chilling warning resurfaces after, quote, reported suicide. GOP lawmakers are even sounding the alarms. The sudden death of Virginia Giuffre, the courageous whistleblower who exposed the depraved world of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and their sex trafficking empire, has shocked the world, with prominent GOP lawmakers openly questioning the official narrative of her reported suicide. They say that Giuffre was 41 years old and that she took her own life in Western Australia on her farm property. Well, according to a statement from her own family reported to NBC News, more liars, Giuffre took her own life after a lifelong battle with the trauma of sexual abuse and trafficking. Well, meanwhile, she has said that she has not only recovered from it, she's gotten help from it, she's gotten psychological help from it, she's taken some medication, she's done other therapies, she's done meditation, she's done a whole bunch of different activities. She found love, she was married, she remarried, was able to get married, and she is someone that has dedicated her life to fighting against child trafficking and rape victims, and of course some of the sick and insidious things that were done to her and many others. So apparently, and this is again from her family, which of course were probably threatened as well, it is with utter broken hearts that we announce that Virginia has passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and trafficking. Virginia was a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. She was the light that lifted so many survivors. In the end, the toll of abuse was just too heavy that it became unbearable for Virginia to handle its weight. Giuffre's death comes just weeks after a reported car accident. Now, let's get into the details of this. She has been threatened with death for over 20 years, ever since she came forward, okay? She's had horrific things happen. People have broken into her house, have threatened her parents. This is when she still lived stateside. She then, of course, moved to Australia. She thought that maybe moving to Australia was going to help mitigate these attacks against her, and of course they have not. She has gotten threatened emails, threatening phone calls. She's gotten things in the mail sent to her, snail mail. She has had people driving by her residence at all times of the night. She's had phone calls threatening her life. And recently, someone tried to kill her on the road. Giuffre's death comes just weeks after a reported car accident on March 24th, 2025, which she claimed left her in critical condition. In an Instagram post on April 1st, Giuffre described a collision with a school bus. Quote, "This year has been one of the worst starts to the new year ever. But I won't bore anyone with the details, but I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers, which if you want to do the translation, you can. I'm not sure how fast that is. As we were slowing for a turn, no matter what your car is made of, it will become a tin can." Then she says that she's gone into kidney renal failure. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about final wishes. Then it says, SHIT in one hand and wish in the other, and I can guarantee you it's still going to be SHIT at the end of the day. Thank you all for being the wonderful people of the world and for being a great part of my life. God bless you all. However, the New York Post reported that Western Australia police described the crash as a minor incident with no serious injuries reported or noted and no police reports and ambulances at the scene. A mother of a child on the bus told the outlet, "I don't know what's true and what is not, but I do know that the, quote, injuries are not from the bus incident." This is somebody else saying this. Many are refusing to blindly accept the official story, especially given Giuffre's own chilling words posted years earlier. In December 2019, Giuffre made it crystal clear in a public post, "I am making this publicly known that in no way, shape, or form that I am suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and to my doctors, and if something is to happen to me, for the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted." Prominent Republican figures have wasted no time voicing their distrust of the, quote, suicide narrative, drawing parallels to Epstein's own questionable death in a New York jail cell in 2019, which of course was also issued as a suicide. So, look, I don't know. I mean, she said that she's had numerous threats against her life. She said that a bus was driven directly into her car. Then she said that she had major health issues from that. And she said that she was in renal failure. And she said that she only had a certain amount of time to live. But yet the reports don't show that it was a major accident. So somebody's not telling the truth. Was she forced? Was she coerced to make that statement? Maybe they threatened to kill, her babies, as she said. Maybe they said, if you don't, do this, or if you don't say this, then we're going to take out your family and your children. I don't know. It's one of those things where she was too close and she had too much knowledge to, in my opinion, just kill herself. Doesn't make sense. So, will there be an investigation? Who knows? I don't know. This is in Australia, not here. But there should be. There should be. We'll see what happens. Okay. So, what is going on? I'm going to call the headline of this segment, Judges Gone Wild, because that's basically what we're seeing, right? We just saw Joel Cano working with Tren Diagra, right, the Venezuela gangsters. He's doing gang signs, he's holding, weapons with them, he's drinking with them, he's partying with them. And then, of course, he's keeping them at his residence. And, he's a judge. He's supposed to not only not have any contact with them, he's supposed to issue the deportation and or arrests for these people. They're gangsters, they're gang members. But instead, nope, he's in bed with them. Then we find out he destroyed evidence when he was caught. He tried to destroy these phones. And then it turns out, according to what you heard all yesterday with Pam Bondi, that there were pictures of deceased people on this gangster's phone, including decapitated heads. Unbelievable. So that's one. Then, of course, you had this Judge Hannah Dugan, who literally is escorting a criminal alien who's accused of serious physical abuse and violence against two people. Instead of, allowing ICE to detain this person, she then takes the law into her own hands, thinking that she's above it, and somehow allows him to scoot out the back door. Now, there's another judge, also, I believe, in Wisconsin, and this judge is now acting in a very defiant way, saying that she won't allow ICE to take anyone from her courtroom either. And she said she's, quote, willing to be arrested. Well, you know what? We ought to be arresting every single one of these judges. Matter of fact, we ought to be arresting these judges that are issuing these injunctions too, because they don't have the legal and constitutional authority to be inside and trying to tell the executive branch and the president and his administration how they can do deportations. It's unbelievable that they're getting away with it, at least, like I said, temporarily, until, of course, cooler heads prevail at higher courts that are going to shoot them all down. And trust me, they will. So now Sawyer County, Wisconsin is on the map. Judge Monica Isham said that she has no intention of allowing any illegal aliens to be taken out of her classroom, could be a classroom, courtroom, and said no problem with being arrested. And then she goes on to brag about her minority status, being a woman, being a Native American, being probably a lesbian, and who knows what else. So she said that she's the first of all these wonderful, great things. First woman, first Native American, first minority, serve on the circuit court, yada, yada, yada. She says, enough is enough. I have no intention of allowing anyone to take out of my courtroom by ICE and sent to a concentration camp. Oh, that's a stretch. But then again, they call him a Nazi, so why wouldn't he have concentration camps? Right? Especially without due process, as both of the constitutions are sworn to support and require. Should I start raising bail money now? She says cheekily. Wisconsin Circuit Judge Monica Isham wrote. Well, Monica, I don't know about you, but I think that you should be next being arrested for sure. And then there's this crazy judge. Wow, this one's unbelievable. In Florida, you have a substance abuse case judge. So in other words, he has a focus for his career on being a judge on cases that involve substance abuse. Well, apparently the judge overseeing substance abuse in Florida was just arrested for possession of cocaine. That's right. And DUI and other paraphernalia. Wonderful. A St. Lucie County, Florida judge who oversees substance abuse cases in the state's 19th Circuit Court was arrested for driving under the influence and possession of drug paraphernalia. Judge Brett Warrenicki, 46, was pulled over in Jensen Beach this week after an officer observed him swerving in and out of lanes. As Warrenicki was driving his Ford F-150, he failed to, quote, maintain a single lane and was striking the flag line multiple times, according to the arrest affidavit. Also, according to the arrest affidavit, when speaking with Warrenicki, a detective observed him to have, quote, bloodshot, watery eyes, slurred speech, and the odor of an unknown alcoholic beverage emitting from his breath. WPTV reported that police received a tip about alleged drug activity involving Judge Warrenicki just a few weeks ago. The Martin County Sheriff's Undercover Narcotics Unit was investigating Warrenicki for weeks before this arrest. A canine was brought out to search the F-150 truck, and subsequent search of the vehicle resulted in the judge being in possession of what appeared to be cocaine residue in his wallet. 2 other passengers were in the vehicle at the time of the arrest and were also cited for possession of cocaine. Judge Warrenicki refused a field sobriety test and refused a breathalyzer because he said he, quote, did nothing wrong. And then it goes on to say that he was arrested. He is being charged with possession of cocaine, DUI, refusal to do the blood test, and a host of other things, including driving erratically and violent, road rage as well. Probable cause affidavit said that law enforcement pulled over Warrenicki after his F-150 was driving, failed to maintain in a single lane, and then there was a bunch of other stuff that they're talking about. So, wow. And this guy, by the way, was appointed by Governor DeSantis, so he was more than likely a conservative judge. But hey, it doesn't matter, okay? Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, an independent, doesn't matter. If you're a judge, you are supposed to have a certain amount of decorum and professionalism, and you're not supposed to be palling around with terrorists. You're not supposed to be busting people in court cases for drug use while you're doing drug use, and you certainly should not be sending criminal aliens out the back door in your courtrooms either. So, judges gone wild. Okay. Now, last thing was this. Earth Day, I guess, was a couple of days ago. I think the official day might have been like Tuesday of this last week. Well, just like I have done before when it comes to holidays, Christmas in particular, the holiday of Kwanzaa, right, is a made-up holiday. And that holiday, again, if you remember, and I'm going by memory, I usually show it every year, but basically you had a convicted rapist who wrapped a telephone wire cord around someone's neck and tried to kill them and was arrested and was in jail. That is who created the holiday of Kwanzaa, okay? Well, Earth Day should not be outdone. In fact, Earth Day is even more crazy. As people celebrate Earth Day, never forget that the founder of Earth Day murdered his girlfriend, stuffed her in the trunk, and composted her body. So let's see, here we go. Earth Day founder Ira Einhorn died in prison in 2020. Einhorn was a convicted murderer after killing his girlfriend and composting her body. A former hippie guru who lived the high life in Europe for many, many years after murdering his ex-girlfriend in Philadelphia in the 1970s has died in prison. Ira Einhorn, 79, died early Friday in a state prison in western Pennsylvania of natural causes, according to Susan McNaughton, a spokesperson for the State Department of Corrections. The death at SCI Laurel Highlands was not related to the COVID-19 virus, she said. This was back in 2020 when he died. Ira had claimed that he founded Earth Day and certainly was popular with the environmental wackos. He lived the lifestyle by composting the woman that he murdered. That's right. Ira Einhorn was on stage hosting the first Earth Day event at the Fairmount Park in Philadelphia on April 22nd, 1970. 7 years later, police raided his closet and found a composted body of his ex-girlfriend inside of a trunk. A self-proclaimed environmentalist activist, Einhorn made a name for himself among ecological groups during the 60s and 70s by taking on the role of a tie-dyed wearing ecological guru and Philadelphia's head hippie. But the charismatic spokesman who helped bring awareness to environmental issues and preached against the Vietnam War and other violence had a secret dark side. When his girlfriend of 5 years, Helen Holly Maddox, moved to New York City and broke up with him, Einhorn threatened that he would throw her left behind personal belongings out onto the street if she didn't come and pick them up. And so on September 9th, 1977, Maddox went back to the apartment that she and Einhorn had shared in Philadelphia to collect her things, and she was never seen from again. When Philadelphia police questioned Einhorn about her mysterious disappearance several weeks later, he claimed that she had gone out to the neighborhood co-op to buy some tofu and sprouts and never returned. A Drexel student who lived in the apartment below Einhorn's recalled a blood-curdling scream and heard heavy banging one night in the fall of 1977. In a neighborhood of frat houses and party hounds, the students downstairs thought nothing of it. But the odor that followed within weeks was impossible to ignore, as was the putrid dark brown liquid that oozed down through the ceiling from Einhorn's apartment. The tenant and his roommate tried unsuccessfully to clean it away, then called the landlord, who then called plumbers. Einhorn stubbornly refused to let the workers into the padlocked closet just off of the bedroom. The private detectives turned it all over to police, and on March 28, 1979, at 9 a.m., homicide detective Chitwood knocked on Einhorn's door. Once inside, he headed straight for the locked closet. He pried it open with a crowbar and immediately smelled a faint decaying smell like a dead animal. Next, he sprang the lock onto the steamer trunk. The newspapers inside were dated August and September of 1977. Under them was styrofoam packing material. Chitwood scoped through it until it came to something he couldn't identify at first, and then it was pretty clear. A hand. A human hand. He scooped some more, and as he did, Holly Maddox slowly emerged. Einhorn stood by impassive. Then began the parade, one after another of Einhorn's bail hearings. His supporters took the stand in his defense. The left always does that, right? Especially for a murderer or a gang member or anything, they always are on the wrong side. A minister, a corporate lawyer, a playwright, an economist, a telephone company executive, they couldn't imagine Einhorn's harming of any living creature. Release of murder defendants pending trial was unheard of, but Einhorn's attorneys were soon to be U.S. Senator Arlen Specter, and bail was set at a staggeringly low $40,000. Only $4,000 of it needed for Einhorn to walk free. It was paid by Barbara Bronfman, a Montreal socialite who had married into the Seagram distillery family and met Einhorn through a common interest in the paranormal. It was Einhorn's new rage and his orbit of friends that have expanded to include Uri Geller, the spoon-bending Israeli illusionist. And that's how the article ends. Now, that's interesting. Bronfman, they brought up Bronfman there at the end. That's someone extremely close to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. Also close to Epstein, as I remember Bronfman being in the little black book that I divulged many years ago. That was one of the names in there. And now that it comes to mind, I can't remember the guy's name, but do you remember the cult where they were branding women on their ass? You remember that cult? And one of them, I think, was like a model that got, messed up in it. And I think the guy's name either started with a K or something. I can't remember the name. But anyway, the Bronfmans were part of that as well. So once again, there you have it. The history of Earth Day was founded by a murderer who stuffed his girlfriend in a trunk. Liberals never seem to amaze us, do they? And shock us. Evil people. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.